We are ready to roll. We are live with Tracy Hackler, who's been so kind to give us a little bit of his time, and we're gonna chat Black Monday. We're gonna chat NFL playoffs, Super Bowl. Definitely gonna be some Broncos talk today. So we're gonna do that first, so that all the non-Bronco fans have to stay on to hear about hobby stuff. So, sorry, but not sorry about that, right?
Yeah.
So we got quite a bit to talk about. We want to talk about what's going on in the hobby. It seems like every time we think something's going one way, there's a new thing that comes out. And over the last couple of weeks, there's been some interesting happenings with Fanatics and Tops, and get to some of that. So first and foremost, Tracy, thank you so much for hopping on with us. I think the timing of this is great with your new venture, which we'll get to as well, and just everything kind of going on in the hobby. And NFL football's in prime swing for the playoffs. So let's
thank you guys for having me, man. I'm honored to be on with y'all, and look forward to chatting.
Absolutely. Hey, and we wanted to give you a shout out. December of 2020, we got a random box from FedEx in the mail. And we opened it up, and we were all smiles in this house. We had a Panini Pick Me Up signed by Tracy Hackler, and my middle son, this is Will, but my middle son Quentin opened Pack XR and hadn't landed a 101 out of it. So it really was a pick me up. So we were very thankful about that. The cat,
well,
yeah. Gonna happen.
That's my pleasure, man. That's one of the most enjoyable parts of anything I ever did at Panini was the Panini Pick Me Up. And he's gonna hate me, but Kyle K-Dub, Kyle's the one that kind of found very worthy folks to pick me up, and man, I was honored to do it, and I'm glad to hear that you guys got that, and that it was a winner. And man, that's what it's all about, in my opinion.
Well, not only that, and I was thinking back because the boys said, well, why did we get this? And I said, I don't know. But I know I had shared a few weeks earlier that my grandfather, my 97-year-old three-war veteran grandfather, had died. So it wouldn't put it past that person. That might have been something to do with it.
I wouldn't put it past him either. He hates. Man, I try to give him more love for it, but he really is adamant about not receiving it. And although I appreciate that, I think he's one of the best dudes in the business. So
he is. He brings positivity all the time, and
yep.
He's one of my favorites. He's actually one of the first people I remember following in the hobby, and I was like, wow, what an example here. So
that's awesome.
Let's get into this, little Tracy. We've got some questions, and we'll kind of see where we go off of that. Do you want to start up there, buddy?
Tracy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I could tell you a lot about myself. I'm very old, 52. I've been blessed enough to be working in sports cards for now 26, going on 27 years. I started way back in the day with Beckett. Had to drive a dinosaur to work back then, and then went from Beckett to Donruss, from Donruss back to Beckett, and then from Beckett to Panini, and then just last month had the chance of a lifetime to join Jimmy Mahan at the Kentucky Roadshow and Roadshow Cards. So that's kind of my work career, a lifelong Broncos fan, as you guys are, and have really, a lot of my life has revolved. Some of my happiest fan moments that I can remember have included the Broncos and the players who've kind of decorated their franchise throughout the years. And other than that, I have two sons, a 20-year-old college junior and a 17-year-old high school senior. And I've been married to a lovely lady who's a teacher here in the Louisville School District. She teaches 5th grade. I've been married to her for, now I'm going to get in trouble, 95. So what is that? That's 20 25 years, 26 years. Yeah, let's go 26. And yeah, I've been blessed to be doing this stuff with the family that I have, the friends that I have. I don't take a day for granted. I'm very grateful for the people and for the opportunities, and always want to live that and show people that, and just be good to people for all the right reasons. So I don't know if that answers your question, Will, but that's kind of me in a nutshell.
I think so. I think that's fascinating. So, and I think I'm going a little bit off script here, but so how did you become a Broncos fan?
That's a great question. I live in Dallas. I've been in Dallas my whole life, and as you can imagine, the Cowboys sentiment is strong here. But I first started falling for the Broncos during Super Bowl 12, which I believe that was 1978. I just started collecting, and I think I kind of felt sorry for the Broncos that day because the Cowboys' doomsday defense kind of took it to them, and I don't know. I felt maybe that developed my affinity for the underdog, and it happened to be the Broncos that I was watching. I like their colors, the orange and blue, the old orange and blue. I like their logo, and so I kind of fell in love with them and kind of followed them from that point on, as well as you could follow a team back in the 70s. And then not too many years later, they ended up trading for John Elway, and man, that really ignited my love affair for him and for them and for sports cards, and then it's been full throttle ever since. In fact, so much so that my oldest son Clayton, his middle name is Elway, if you can believe that.
That's awesome.
My dog's name is Bronco, so they've just been a part of my life. As you guys know, rooting for a team is not unlike sports cards in the sense that it kind of serves as a diversion from things that could go on and kick you in the teeth on a somewhat regular basis, work or family stuff. And they've just been a big part of my life, and I couldn't be happier. Even in the bad years, I try to, when they won, obviously they won Super Bowl 32, and that was one of my greatest moments. No kids yet. They won Super Bowl 33. I was actually lucky enough to attend Super Bowl 33, so that was kind of my sports highlight. And I really never cared if they won again. Like, it wouldn't matter to me, but I was happy to see them win 50 so that my boys could watch that with me, and they could, like, in their lifetimes, have a Super Bowl champion. And they're both big fans too. And so they've just been such a big part of my life. And that's what fandom does it kind of carries with you all the days of your life.
Yeah, no doubt. So we just had a question pop up in the chat, and it's actually from Corey, who's also on Twitter. He's also a Broncos fan, but maybe we'll pivot here and circle back, and you can tell us a little bit about the Kentucky Road Show and kind of how that opportunity with Jimmy came up and came to be.
Sure. Where do you want to go first? You want to go?
Well, I mean, maybe how did you and Jimmy end up? Because I can only imagine the meeting of the minds that was going on for this. I only know Jimmy through Twitter and his graciousness, and he oozes passion, obviously for Kentucky, but for sports cards and for people. It's just clear when you see the videos of people going in his shop. There's just a distinct joy. So I'm very curious what came about with that discussion and how that happened.
Yeah. So when there was a meeting of the minds with Jimmy, there's only one mind there. It's his. I was just along for the ride. But yeah, I've known, like so many people, I've known Jimmy through social. I've had the chance to meet him through my years in the industry, and was always just a really big fan of who he was and like how he lived it. And he was real and authentic and positive. And when you do kind of this job long enough, and I've for better or worse, I've been kind of a public facing face of a company for different companies. And so when you're in that role, like I'm fine with it. I've got thick skin. I got a great sense of humor. So it doesn't bother me, but you do see how cynical people are and how jaded people become. And that's part of it, right? I get it. I don't fault people for being that way. We're all wired differently. But with Jimmy, it was always just so positive and so passionate, and so real. And so I got to know him a little better through my time at Panini. And in fact, he was the guy that we would recommend to when media outlets started hitting us up and the boom started happening, when media would reach out to Panini for a comment or to talk about how the industry had grown. One of the guys we would refer them to as another source was Jimmy, because he's such a great ambassador for all that's good in the hobby. And he was great, obviously, on camera and for interviews and stuff. So he reached out to me probably around a little bit after the National and said he wanted to do lunch. He was coming to Dallas. He wanted to do lunch. And so we did lunch with him and David Diamondstein, who's one of his right-hand guys, and Cody Krim, who had worked at Panini and had since gone over and is going to run the Texas Roadshow shop. And we had lunch, and Juan Pablo, who's the football roadshow guy. So I had lunch with them, and he first brought up the idea of, hey, would you want to join this small startup we have? And whenever Jimmy talks, I'm listening because I love the guy so much. And the more we talked, the more sense it made to me what his vision was and how he saw his brainchild kind of developing really resonated with me on every level. I mean, from a personal level to a passion level to what's in the heart and what's in the head. And everything he said really spoke to me, and it became pretty much a no-brainer. And I've said this before, like it would have taken a really just unparalleled opportunity for me to leave Panini, because Panini is a great place. I love those people and love that. But Jimmy presented that opportunity, and so that's kind of how it happened. And I joined him officially December 20th, and man, the plans that he has for franchising the Roadshow shop and Texas Roadshow, California Roadshow, New York Roadshow is the plans are big. The heart is bigger, and I'm ecstatic to be with Jimmy and the Roadshow team, and can't wait to see what we do.
That's awesome. So, what can you tell us about the future plans there?
Well, Jimmy's goal is all about. It should come as no surprise to anybody who knows him, but he wants to elevate people through this great vehicle of trading cards and the moments and the pieces and the people. He has a real love of people and doing the right thing by people and uplifting people whenever possible through trading cards. And so that's kind of the mission statement. And we're going to use our card shops. Obviously, the one in Lexington has been open for more than a year and has done really well. And that shop, when you go in there, it's not like I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and our card shops are a little bit different, a little bit older, a little bit stale, a little bit musty sometimes, not very welcoming, didn't want to buy, didn't want to talk, just wanted to sit behind the counter and do whatever they were doing. But Jimmy's is way different. You go in there, I've had the luxury to be in his shop now twice, and they know everybody's name. Every kid that comes in, they know the kid's name. They know the kid's parents. There's a big TV. You can watch sports. The Trey Huntsman and David, who kind of run that shop, they spend time talking to the kids because obviously that's the future of our business. Will, you and your friends and more kids just like you are the future. And when you go in there, they have meaningful conversations with the kids about school, about sporting events, what they're playing, who they're collecting, who they should invest in, what they should break. I mean, it's really, it's just so great to watch that. And that's the environment that will kind of be the roadmap for Texas Roadshow and California Roadshow, New York Roadshow, when they open between now and April 1st. And then down the road, there are plans for expansion internationally. But at the core of it all is kind of this charitable component too, of giving back to charities and helping other people who need it through this great hobby of ours. And those are the things that really resonated with me when I was talking to Jimmy. And you can't help but kind of share his passion, his enthusiasm, and it's doing the right stuff for the right reasons with the right people.
Absolutely. That's cool. It's interesting being it in large part. It's because of the whole reason I collected growing up when I was Will's age, through the mid 80s and early 90s, and then high school hit, and it just, there was other things that maybe caught your eye that kind of waned. And every once in a while I'd buy a few packs of something here and there, but it really wasn't until, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, we were actually out on a tour at the University of Colorado, the new football facilities. As we're walking through, this is June or July, Philip Lindsay's walking the halls in there, and he runs up, stops us. We're with the athletic director, so I assume that was probably part of why he stopped. But he engaged us on a conversation for about 10 minutes. We bumped into him again. He was awesome to the boys. He's just a ball of energy as well. Someone that I could have sat there and listened to him talk forever. But it was after that I was like, I need to find a Philip Lindsay football card. Well, when he got to the NFL, and it was like a computer short circuiting because I did not know what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand the different brands, that there's autograph cards now. It was kind of mind blowing. So it was interesting to see kind of getting back in, and then the boys were all in and they wanted some Philip Lindsay cards, and then much to my wife's chagrin, it's kind of gone a little bonkers. But I like that you're talking about keeping the kids involved, because unfortunately what we've found out is it's hard right now to get cards into the kids' hand. We used to be able to stroll into Target and pick what you want, and now it's pretty rough. We don't do much with baseball, maybe a little bit of basketball. So it's always interesting to hear, kind of trying to keep kids on there, because they can't afford, $100 cards and those kind of things. It's not the 40-cent packs of, I think we can say this word now without you having.
We can.
So saying, a pack of Tops with your, that you'd get at the convenience store. I mean, those days seem to be behind us, for better, for worse. I think there's some fantastic products out there, but I'm just very interested to see. And obviously, I think with what Fanatics is doing, I think we're all kind of going, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that's the thing. I felt like from a business perspective, that made a lot of sense to buy Tops, because you keep the brand. I think that's as important than anything. We're creatures of habit.
Yes.
If I don't see the rated rookie on a football card, I don't know. That's iconic to me. So I'm curious what the next step's going to be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknown still, but I think, I would echo your sentiment that Fanatics buying Tops is a good thing for the industry, a good thing for the longevity of what Tops stands for, kind of in our industry. And I think the thing about, man, I'm telling you, when you go, hopefully you guys will have an opportunity at some point to come into Jimmy's shop in Kentucky or one of the other shops, and maybe there'll be a shop in Colorado at some point. But
we're in Iowa.
Oh, well, even better, Iowa.
We can make a road trip to Kentucky or Dallas.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. And just the interaction with the younger collector is so it's just awesome to watch, and it's refreshing. And and there's always going to be something for a younger collector in one of Jimmy's stores. They're just going to be. It's not all flawless and NT and whatever the higher end products are. There's always going to be something for the younger collectors too, and because that's the future of the business, right? That's the future of our hobby. And if we lose them, then you lose a whole generation, and nobody wants to do that.
So, Will wants to hop to this question. Will. Sorry, we'll circle back to the Fanatics. I do want to dive into that a little bit more, but today was what's known as Black Monday. A lot of teams firing coaches. We have a vested interest in one of the teams that actually let their coach go on
a day early. It was Black Sunday for Bill.
First one to go.
Yeah.
So what's your, if you could hire, who are you hiring right now? Or do you have a few that you would?
So my top, we've already done this list in my house, man, but me and the boys have been all over it. But if I had my number one choice, it's kind of a coin flip between Doug Peterson or Kellen Moore, the OC in Dallas. I've been thinking about Peterson for the last kind of few months. Just I think he didn't have a job, and I think he got kind of run out of town, maybe wrongly in Philly. And I think what he did in Philly with who he did it with, like that gives a lot of people like a 15, 20-year pass in a town. And he that didn't happen with him. I don't understand why, but I really like Doug Peterson, and Kellen Moore, I think, has a lot of potential, a little bit more risk because he's so young, but because I'm in Dallas, I see his offense and I see the plays that he designs and kind of what he does. And it's pretty impressive to see what he's done with that offense. And so if I had my choice, it'd be one of those two. I keep hearing Dan Quinn's name pop up and how George Payton is a big Dan Quinn guy. That I wouldn't hate that because it might mean that he still has a relationship with Russell Wilson from his days in Seattle. I don't know. But it also kind of feels a little bit like Vance Joseph and Vic Fangio and going the defensive route. So that's my long-winded way of saying Doug Peterson, Kellen Moore, and then if we had to settle for a guy who's been there, who's done it, Dan Quinn would be, I guess, my third choice.
I think I'm on the same page. I'd like to see an offensive-minded guy. I think Brian Daboll of Buffalo. I didn't see them asked to interview him today, but and Leftwich would be the other one that is intriguing to me. But Peterson. We had a comment in here, Nathaniel Hackett from Green Bay.
Yep.
Unless you know with fairly certain that number 12 is coming, that one I like, but that seems kind of risky. I don't know that one's gonna happen.
Yeah, for my liking, when I look at it, Hackett or Quinn, I want to be a package deal, right? I want Quinn to bring Russell, or I want Hackett to bring Aaron Rodgers, like you're saying. And Byron Leftwich is another guy that I would be pretty high on too, just because you got to think about. I know Bruce Arians gives him a lot of credit for the I don't want to say progress Tom Brady's made, but how he's coached Tom Brady through his 2 seasons in Tampa. And you got to think that Tom Brady has been just as instrumental in teaching Byron Leftwich some things. And so I would not be mad if they hired Byron Leftwich either.
Yeah, I think there's a really good pool of candidates. So I'm hopeful because I think this roster is ready. I think there's talent sprinkled throughout it, which I think was why this season was so frustrating. Watching, having that talent. Now the injury, everybody had injuries, but
sure.
Watching 4th and 5th string linebackers play significant playing time, that was tough. But the defense held it together, so I'm not too worried about that. I think there's no way with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon that you're averaging less than 20 points a game.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, 100% agree with you. Like like I saw a stat where who would have thought that Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy would have 0 touchdown receptions this year? It makes no sense. It
No.
just makes no sense. And Noah Fant and Albert O are weapons, and they didn't get the most out of those two guys. I think they should use this, but I think back to the game. I can't remember what game it was, where they got Jeudy the ball in the open field, kind of in the flat, and just let him work, and it was absolutely dynamic. And the fact that they didn't do that more often. I mean, nothing against Tim Patrick. He's great, but should he be the number one target on this team? Probably not.
No, I love Tim Patrick. I love his story. I love everything about that. But no,
Absolutely.
So, like, one of the other coaches on here is Mike McDaniel from San Francisco.
So, yeah, the OC. And then Corey just posted that they asked permission to interview Rams OC Kevin O'Connell. I don't know much about O'Connell, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either. If they're going to get anybody from San Francisco, I want them to get Mike Shanahan's son. I want Kyle here. That would make a whole lot of sense too, but I don't know that he's going anywhere.
We whiffed on that opportunity a few years ago. That was
one
that seemed to make so much sense that.
It was perfect. It was perfect, and
yeah, we talked about. Yeah,
so I don't know. I mean, I think George Payton knows the task at hand, and I think he's up to the task. I mean, he's been really, really good. Like, you can't look at many things he's done so far and say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that," or "What are you doing?" I mean, he knows what he's doing, and that gives me confidence as a fan. But we'll see. I mean, he's never had a more important decision than who he's going to hire as coach. So it'll be interesting.
Well, if he can, Flores too. That was an interesting dismissal this morning. I
didn't see coming.
No, if Brian Flores gets an interview, I know he's more defensive minded, but
still
that would be
solid. And the thing that I really, when it was all said and done, look, Vic Fangio is a brilliant defensive mind. He'll have a job in a few days. I'm not worried about that. But when they hired him, I felt like everyone was going younger, and we did the opposite. And I thought it sent the wrong message to the fan base about how bright the future was. If you're going to bring in Fangio, who's a little bit older, like, what does that say about? I mean, is he a 10-year guy? Is he a 15-year guy? It didn't seem to be that he was. And I don't know. I thought it was a weird hire.
And you're seeing it all across the league with these young guys. You've got McVay and LaFleur,
Kingsbury, and
you're seeing these guys that they're innovative and they're young, energetic, and I don't know. On Saturday night, there was a comment Fangio made, and I don't know what his problem with Drew Lock. I mean, he did not like Drew Lock playing in those games. He wanted nothing to do with it, and then he threw him under the bus again. I was like, that game had nothing to do with Drew Lock playing poorly. He rolled him right up. I was like, okay.
Yeah, Drew played pretty well the last 4 games. I mean, look, he's kind of hamstrung by the offense he's having to run. And he didn't get the run support necessarily in a few of those games that
right.
And I love Teddy too. I think Teddy's great, but he got a lot more run support in many cases than Drew did. And Drew was his own run support against the Chiefs. But yeah, he had a real disdain, it seemed. I mean, the way he called out essentially Drew and Teddy in that last press conference was pretty alarming. But
it was weird. Maybe it was a walking kind of thing where he just
he didn't care.
Like,
right?
I'm just going to get this off my chest. Well, we'll come back to football because we'll do some picks here in a little bit. But
okay.
Will wants to get some stuff in. I think he wants to talk cards a little bit and maybe ask you. You want to go there?
I want to do this one.
You want to do that one now?
I want to do this one.
Okay.
So, how did Panini get bought out by?
Panini didn't. Topps was bought. by Fanatics.
Do you think Fanatics is good or bad for the hobby?
I think Fanatics is good for the hobby. I think Fanatics obviously saw a category that that was on the rise, maybe more than it ever has been, and it reached a point and of critical mass from a whole lot of people. And I think they want to make it bigger and better. And I think it's good. I think it's good when a company like Fanatics sees even more potential in this industry that we love so much.
So I know where your loyalties probably lie here, but how does this shake out with the exclusive not only league but Players Association deals then? So what Panini rocks it in a lot of the, I don't want to call them fringe anymore because I don't think that's fair. They're not really fringe, but what does that look like? I'm a football card collector. I mean, I don't do digital stuff. I need to hold it. So am I going to be here in 5 years?
For sure. 100%. You're going to be here. And if you're a basketball collector, you're going to be here. I mean, I don't know what ultimately that looks like from a brand perspective, but I can tell you that getting Topps is a good move because, as you well know, and so many people know, Topps was rocking it in football and basketball long before Panini was. And so to have their brands and that name in the category is good. It always has been good. Topps, like I've said, is like Coke or Kleenex, or I mean, it's synonymous with the category. And so having them involved is good. I don't know necessarily if we're going to have National Treasures football in 5 years, or Flawless football, or Prism football. I don't know that. I don't think few people know that. But I think will we have compelling products that deliver quality and value? Absolutely.
Well, and this thought just popped in my head with Topps and the work stoppage. Did they have to put a halt on putting product out? Because I know, like, MLB can't even put a face on anything. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I think they would. I think they would. Yes. Yeah, they would.
That's wild. Yeah, you got a little time left, so I'll let you drive the boat.
Do you think that if Panini could still make Flawless and National Treasures unlicensed, would they?
That's a good question, Will. Way beyond your years. I would tell you that they probably would, even if it's unlicensed. I mean, they make unlicensed baseball now, Prism, they make unlicensed Flawless and National Treasure baseball. So
yeah.
I think if it made sense, and it resonated with enough collectors, I think they absolutely would do those.
It's gonna be interesting because what is it, 2024? Is that when the
I think one's 20. I think one's 25 and one's 26. But I don't know.
We're still a few years.
Yeah, I think football might be 25, basketball might be 26, or vice versa. But
got it. Very cool. Will, what do you want to do on here? So you've got to.
What's your Super Bowl matchup?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, the AFC is wide open, except we know the Broncos aren't in it. That hurts me. Man, I don't know. The NFC seems a little bit more like clear cut. I mean, I think you have to pick one of the two that were meeting for the Super Bowl last year in Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And if I had to pick one of those right now, I'd probably pick Green Bay just because Aaron Rodgers is playing at such an extraordinarily high level, even by his standards. So I'm going to say Packers. And in the AFC, I can't put the Chiefs in there. I just can't.
I hear you.
I can't put the Raiders in there. So I'm going to go out on kind of a limb and say it's either going to be the Bengals or the Bengals or Titans. How about that?
Yeah.
I like it.
Titans have been really surprising this season.
Well, and I think if they
with losing Derrick Henry and then going on the win streak that they have had.
Well, I think if Henry can come back and give them something, that's pretty tough. Back in August, I had picked the Bills and the Rams, and I still like the Bills. I still think that they can go into anywhere and beat anybody out there. But that Rams pick, that I look at that roster, and I know they were playing a division rival yesterday, but
they sound like so.
They were 12-5, and I don't know. It felt like they were 9-8.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Expectations on their season, but I would tend to agree with you. I think the road to the Super Bowl goes through Green Bay.
Yeah,
and it's in the NFC. There's a lot of teams that are kind of fun to watch play. You got the Cardinals. You're probably sick of them, but the Cowboys. They do play fun football. So yeah. I think in the NFC, that's going to be kind of a bloodbath. In the AFC, yeah, anybody but KC.
Yeah, I mean
the Raiders aren't going to get there. So I guess
they're not. And the Chiefs haven't looked like the Chiefs. I mean, they needed some crazy defensive plays both times against us to beat us. But yeah, like I would love, like, as a fan of football, as an NFL fan, I think so many things would have been different had the Bills won even one of those Super Bowls back in the 90s. And if you're asking me, would I be upset if the Bills won a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I think it would be.
Love it.
I think it would be great.
Their fan base is. I mean, they're there with the Browns and some of the other fan bases that have just had the rug pulled out from under them.
No doubt. And if and especially for the hobby, I mean, a guy like Josh Allen winning or Stephon Diggs, or I think it's good for the industry when that happens and you have new blood in there. Because, look, I mean, is Tom Brady going to win an 8th Super Bowl? Man, cool. But, I mean, the guy's a legend.
Is he going to have one on all of his fingers? Who knows?
Yeah. No, it's like amazing. Like when I was growing up, how old are you, Will?
10.
All right. So when I was your age, that was about so that was 1980. So I had like a real affinity for the Super Bowl and like what it meant to win an NFL championship. And I used to be in awe of guys like Bradshaw or Montana who had 4 rings. And I'm like, man, that's unheard of. Like, that's never going to get reached. And then Tom Brady comes along and he's got 7.
It's crazy.
I mean, it just makes no sense to me as a kid when I thought 4 was it. Like, man, 4? You kidding me? And then, it's just something else. I mean, I'm so happy that we've been able to watch him in my lifetime because man, I don't know if that'll ever get matched. I mean, 7.
To play that long. Yeah.
Play at that level for that long and then to immediately make Tampa Bay a champion? Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, who you got for Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be really hard between the Bucs and the NFC, the Bucs, the Packers, and the Cowboys. Because Cowboys probably have the best defense in the league.
Yeah,
I think offense is all gas, no break.
Yeah, they are. They are, yeah.
And then that is just like I don't know.
What do you think about Chase comment on there about?
Yeah, I
can see the Bengals getting hot too.
I can see Bengals, and I don't really.
If that team wins the Super Bowl, if the Bengals win a Super Bowl this year, you think about some of the young, like, card collecting studs on that team with obviously Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and I mean even Joe Mixon has kind of picked up steam. I mean, that would be a huge boon for the hobby.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rowdy, we got your Cowboys. We gave them a shout out. I mean, it was a team that almost got shut out by the Broncos, but
they should have.
Yeah.
Week 16 points late in the game. Like that game, I didn't even want to go to that game, but my boys talked me into it because I was so disenchanted with the Broncos at that point. And then they pull out that they're up by 30, and I'm like, what is going on? It was just the most bizarre thing.
I think that was the game where they were moving Judy around.
Yeah, exactly right.
Getting the ball in space, and you're like, that makes sense.
Yeah, let's do more of that. And then it just hurts me, man.
Well, buddy, I think you better go tap your brother in.
Yeah.
Hey, Will, good luck at practice, man.
Thanks.
Shoot him straight.
First basketball. He's doing basketball and wrestling right now, so it's a little.
Oh, nice. That's a good combination.
Little wild for us in here, but.
Well, good luck, brother.
Thanks.
I'm surprised because he made me pull it out of the safe, and this is a kid collector story. So about a little over a year, no, it was more than a year ago. This is 2020. We were on another friend's hobby stream, and we were just talking with them, and we were on for a little bit, and then he was having different guests, and Will decided he wanted to go back and look through some of his boxes. And he's looking through, and he's looking for Patrick Mahomes cards. And he's looking through, and now I'm kind of stealing the thunder there, but it's the star-studded or star status insert from Elite.
Yep.
But we never looked when he opened it, and I don't think the camera's gonna pick it up. It's a 101.
Oh wow.
So little did he know. And then here's my other son, my middle son. This is Quentin. Say hi to Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
What's up, Quentin?
Not much, just kicking it, right? So
Cyclones.
Yeah, we're a house of Cyclones, Buffs, and Broncos for the most part here.
I love it.
So yeah, the joy he had because it was literally in a 3,200 count box, just loose.
Wow.
And it had probably been in there for 10 months because he opened the pack. He saved up some money and opened a few packs down at the LCS because this was before COVID.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's the 101. So the youngest in the house has the most valuable card that we probably have under our roof, which is pretty crazy. So this is awesome. This is the one, Tracy, that opened the XR box, and he got the Cam Akers.
Oh, Cam Akers 101.
Yep. Can you tell Tracy the story about that card? And because he did sell it, but it's a pretty cool story.
So I wanted to buy something, but I don't remember what I wanted to get. But so I sold it, and we put it up on eBay, and then it got sold a couple of days later, and then the person texted my dad saying that it was a she, and she was the one that took the pictures on the card.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, was it Melina?
At West?
6:30?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So
was it Melina Myers?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and we've been trying to get her on. She's kind of got a crazy schedule with her photography and teaching and those things. So we're still hoping to get her on. Just that story was too cool, and I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. So she's like, yeah, no, I took that picture when he was at Florida State.
Yeah, she's a big Florida State fan and photographer, and she does great work, man. She's also a collector, which is kind of cool.
She had a phenomenal picture from the Super Bowl of Winfield Jr.
Yeah,
giving
the piece
to Tyreek. So that was pretty cool. Tracy, it's popped up. This was a question that was on ours, but I saw it in the comments a little bit ago that Che had asked. So is there anything that UPC, a player or items, or is there stuff that, you've been in the industry for so long and obviously you love it. So, what do you chase?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Bronco guy. So like I'm, John Elway, I've got a big John Elway collection. I'm a big Vance Johnson guy too. Loved him. And so I've got one of the things that was kind of cool about working at Panini is Rob Springs, who runs the football product development. He's really good about getting advice on like autograph subjects or guys who haven't signed in a long time that might make sense to put in a new product. And he approached me one time and I said, "Oh, you got to get Vance Johnson back in. He hasn't had autograph in a while." And so thankfully Rob did get Vance in, and I was able to add like some really cool, impeccable Vance Johnson, some immaculate Vance Johnson, stuff that he never would have had back in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. So guys like that, I mean, obviously Elway, I've got a really great collection of bust quarterbacks from Osweiler to Paxton Lynch. If anybody's interested, I'm kidding. But then like, I'm a big Ed McCaffrey guy, a big Terrell Davis guy. And so I just try to collect cards like that of things that I need or don't have, and then I've kind of become a big UFC guy. So I like collecting UFC stuff, cards primarily, but also like autographed 8x10s and things like that.
Oh,
but
cool.
Primarily football, Broncos stuff.
Very cool. Is there a gem or and it doesn't have to be the most valuable, but is there one in there that you can look at and go, man, that thing's going to be passed down to my kids, to their kids?
The one that I really love the most, the one card is I believe I should have pulled it out, but it's a John Elway notable nicknames National Treasures autograph, but it's got like 4 different nicknames on it.
Oh, wow.
Duke of Denver, like Super Bowl 33 MVP, Hall of Fame year, and one other one. And it's just, a lot of those guys of that era and older, they know how to sign an autograph. It's full and they care. And this card has those inscriptions on there. And it's just, for me, I mean, he was the guy. I named my son after him, and I was able to meet him through the years, and he's such a cool dude that card really kind of sums it all up for me.
Yeah, I met John Elway at the Olympic Training Center in 1984 after his rookie year.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think I was 8.5, maybe 9 years old, and
wow.
It was a chili cook-off being hosted in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center. My dad's like, "Hey, there's going to be some, I think he wanted the food."
Yeah.
So we got down there and we're expecting to wait in this long line. There was literally no line. I walked up and I had an opportunity as a 9-year-old to chat with John Elway for a little bit. And I mean, I thought I was 10 feet tall after that.
Sure.
So yeah, very cool experience. He signed a football. Actually, I think that football was a little tiny one, but it's deflated and the bladder's bad, but it still has John Elway's autograph in silver ink. So that
That's
one's
awesome.
And Will's. Yeah. So Vance Johnson's on there somewhere because I had the 3 amigos sign it. So they signed it ballpoint. I didn't know better at the time. So their signature.
Through my career, I've been lucky enough to be in situations I never dreamed I'd be in. And I never take it for granted. But the one story that still resonates with me is all these years, like Vance Johnson was the reason I wore number 82 in high school. And I just really loved him. I love his story now, his recovery, and kind of he was in the depths and he recovered, and now he's helping other people recover. But the week of Super Bowl 50, we were down on Radio Row, kind of drumming up support for whatever product or whatever we were doing. I'd never met Vance Johnson before. And so I'm on the phone with a producer from like NBC trying to get, I think it might have been Derek Carr on the radio. And I'm talking to my boss at the time, and I see Vance Johnson walk past, and I'm like, I said, I got to call you back. I said, Jason, I'll be back. And I chased him down. I said, Vance, and nobody recognized him but me because it was like Tuesday of Super Bowl week, so not a lot of people were there. He was shaved headed now, but I chased him down and I said, hey, I don't want anything from you other than to tell you that I'm one of your biggest fans and I want to shake your hand. And he couldn't have been nicer. He took a picture with me. He let me hold his AFC championship ring. And it's just one of those moments where, like, I've been lucky enough to talk to Kobe Bryant and Mike Tyson, but the one that I get the most giddy about was Vance Johnson. It's just funny.
That's awesome. That is very cool. So I kind of circling back. You mentioned Panini, you mentioned Beckett, you mentioned Donruss, and you've kind of gone full circle in there. What are some of the trends you're seeing in the hobby that are the good, the things that there's a pretty sleazy, scummy side. There are people that are have bad intentions, so to speak. But what are some things that you see that are good?
Well, I think, like, one of the things that we talked about earlier was like the whole Panini pick me up thing is like, it's a small thing, but it's just one piece of this greater good that you see racks going on all the time. And you see Twitter used to be a real, like, toxic environment, and it was really just all venom and hatred. And I think that's kind of turned a little bit. I mean, yeah, it's still there and you're still going to get criticism and there are going to be bad things said, but more and more I see like good deeds happening from collector to collector. And I think that's always been kind of the foundation of the hobby, are these people that become connected and almost like family through the hobby. That's why the National is such a cool time, because you get to meet in person with a lot of these people that you DM or exchange tweets or Instagram messages with. Guys like K-Dub. One of the reasons that I wanted to go work for Jimmy is because it's all positive, and you can choose to be all positive and not have to really even bother with the toxic, the trash talk, all that stuff. And so I think you'll see that continue to grow. I think the injection of new collectors / investors in the hobby is a positive, is a good thing, because it exposes this little hobby of ours to a far greater audience with money and ideas and creativity, and who knows where that leads to down the road.
Cool. Maybe those new guys want to take all my Greg Jeffries rated rookies.
Oh, that's a great name from the past there.
Oh, there was a thread that every once in a while pops up, and it talked about, going through those names, and it was Brian Taylor, I think.
Brian Taylor, yeah, the pitcher.
And and guys that just never did anything, or guys that never lived up to the hype. Kevin Moss and Todd Van Poppel, and I just was kind of going through all that, going, man, I got a lot of kindling in some 5,000 count boxes that my parents really made me get out of their house.
Yeah, man, that's a thing that's funny that really hasn't changed that much, is like people still speculate on guys. I mean, it's still a kind of a gamble, and if you lose, you've got a 300 count lot of guy that it just won't amount to much. But if you pick right, like if you collected all of the Luka cards when he was a rookie, or Steph Curry, if you targeted him, or I mean Tom Brady, look at Tom Brady. The people who speculated correctly on Tom Brady probably have liquidated long before now and liquidated too soon. But that part of the business is still like ever present. It's just a matter of what kind of research are you doing? Why are you investing in that person? And then How does it play out 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now?
I kind of got priced out of it, but the Drew Lock craziness after the end of his rookie year, I was like, whoa.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel like I still think he's got to be able to have a career somewhere. That's not going to be in Denver, but
I
feel
agree.
like I dodged a bullet on that one, and it also made me pivot a little bit what I collect. I said I got to stop chasing new and shiny, and I went back to actually picking up more vintage cards and trying to buy more Hall of Famers and more graded cards that, again, I feel like I could pass down to Quentin and Will and my oldest son. And now, like guys like Philip Lindsay, who were the ones that got me in, they're pretty cheap. And I still love Phil. So, I can continue to add those things. So it's kind of cool to see that those speculations can, that was never why I started collecting Philip Lindsay or some of the other guys. But with the quarterbacks, you look at it and even before they've taken a snap, people snapping up Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so.
That was some crazy money going around.
Oh, ridiculous. I mean, even like Trey Lance and Mac Jones. Tell me Mac Jones not as much early, but as the season progressed, I mean, that's, I'm glad you mentioned Philip Lindsay. Such a nice dude, man. Such a really cool guy. But it's cool that, like, I collect a lot. Well, like why you got into it with Lindsay is you watch a guy play on Sunday and you're like, oh man, that guy, like, the great thing about our hobby is that's how you reflect your fandom or your favorites is you go find a cool card of theirs. And so many, Vance Johnson or Ricky Natil cards I have were because I saw a play and I'm like, I want to get a piece of that. And you go get an 87 Topps card or something.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm someone who's hyper focused on, for me, I guess it's a good thing I'm not an Alabama fan because I'd be spending money on every guy that came out. Being a University of Colorado fan, 1 or 2 guys a year maybe comes out, so it makes it pretty affordable. And Laviska Shenault was the last one who, I mean, we have a lot of Laviska stuff in this house, don't we?
Yeah.
He was sent, again, the hobby kindness for his birthday 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever it was. There was a group that got together and he got a signed Laviska CU jersey.
Oh, that's cool.
Hangs proudly in his room. That was pretty awesome. Quentin's going to take us to this next one here. You got it?
We've never been to the National. What are some tips and advice you could give us as a newcomer?
That's a great question. So I would say just mentally prepare yourself for some long days. Don't shoot all of your enthusiasm and your passion like in the first hour, because you're going to have to walk the floor. I would say walk the floor first and make a note with your phone or with the old school notepad and pencil of the booth number, what it was located next to, so that when you do decide to start making your purchases or your trades, you know where to go. Because I can't tell you, my first national, I think I was 26, but I've always been bad with directions. But there were times when I would go and walk the floor. First of all, I made the mistake of buying immediately, which you never do that. As you get older, you go and you shop and you look around and you find you see if you can find it cheaper somewhere else. But I didn't make notes of where I saw this card I wanted. So I'd be looking around like, where was that? And all the tables looked the same back then. And so I learned then, take notes, write down the booth number, write down what it's next to so you can visibly see it and find it quickly. If you have to leave at the end of the show or the end of the day, I need to run back by booth 712 and get that John Elway card I saw. So take it all in first before you do anything, and then take notes while you're taking it all in, so that on the second half of the day or day two, however long you're there, you know exactly what you want, where it is, and how much you can expect to spend. That's some advice I would give you. And then obviously come by the roadshow booth and see Jimmy and the boys. Those are the two things I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think we're trying to, it won't be this year. Atlantic City too far for us, but I think the next time it circles back to Chicago, we would probably entertain trying to do that. The boys will be a little older.
Yeah.
I think that's probably in circuit for a year or two because it was in Chicago last year.
Yeah. It should be back after Atlantic City probably, unless it goes to Cleveland and then Chicago. But hopefully it's Chicago.
We might make a trip to Cleveland. We were out there for the Pro Football Hall of Fame last with Manning going in.
Yep.
And we had a great time in Ohio. We spent time in Columbus, time in Cleveland, and time in Canton, and we had an awesome time. So
That's
Cleveland
cool.
too. We had fun in Cleveland, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great town. I mean, both Cleveland and Chicago, if they alternated between Cleveland and Chicago every year for the National, I don't think anybody would complain.
So with that said, what's your favorite city that the Nationals in? Venue-wise, city-wise?
I would say Chicago probably. I like Chicago. I've got my nephew is in Chicago. Chicago's such a great sports town too. I mean, it's so I would say the National being in Chicago, although it's in Rosemont, technically it's right by Chicago. And I mean, Soldier Field's epic. The Bulls play there. I mean, it's just a great sports town full of history and great collecting kind of legacies. And it's just a great national town. I mean, the National always rocks when it's in Chicago. And so I think that would be my favorite.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think that's one where knowing we're going to go, there's going to be a lot of saving, a lot of strategic not buying as we build up to it. Cause I think everything you could want to buy will end up being there. And
agree.
Well,
You always want to stock up before you go.
We're hopeful. I think if I put that bug in my wife's ear early enough, she'll do it. In hindsight, she loved the Canton trip, but people were like, "Where are you going on vacation this summer?" And she goes, "Oh, tropical Ohio." So
yeah. But I mean, look, she's kind of in. You got three boys, they're sports nuts. I mean, it's kind of part of the deal, man.
And that was one of the reasons why we hit it off. We met at a Broncos tailgate.
Love it. I love it.
That was one of the first times hanging out. So I knew she at least had the good taste in team.
Well, my wife has become a Broncos fan over the 20 some odd years we've been together. I mean, she let me name our son Elway, so she's a keeper for sure.
Well, Tracy, that kind of hits on all the things that we had on our list. I know there's a national championship game coming up that we're gonna probably go watch, and I'll have to circle back and pick a boy up from
basketball, right?
Basketball here in a little bit, but we just want to humbly say thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everybody that's hopped on, or the folks that get to watch this, watch it back on YouTube when it gets published. So, Tracy, as a fellow Broncos fan, fellow collector, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, getting to know you. Please tell your wife thanks for letting you hop on here. I'm also a teacher, so I can
that's awesome.
Respect the grind that's going on in that world right now. I know we've had a couple of teachers that have also popped on in the chat. So
I love it. You guys and gals are remarkable. I tell my wife and her co-teachers that all the time, that what y'all do is incredible and invaluable. And the honor has been all mine, Jamie and Quentin and Will. When I see you again, it's been a blast. And I could do this whenever you needed me. I would come on because I love talking to you guys about the Broncos and about the hobby. And so, yeah, until next time, thank y'all.
Absolutely. Tracy, thank you so much. You guys, if you don't already, I don't know what you're doing, but give Tracy a follow. I think I've got the right Twitter handle down there at the bottom. So give him a follow because he's got a new journey about to take place here. So I'm excited to watch that. Che had already said, come down, visit. Jimmy's only an hour away from him. And I know Che, EN Sports Cards in the chat, also goes into Jimmy's place quite frequently. So we'll close this circle up. We'll do a face-to-face here one of these days and catch up. So Tracy, have an awesome evening, and we will catch all of you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank y'all.